Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We continue our working day. Now I give the floor to Ministry of Defense spokesman on ATO-related issues, Colonel Oleksandr Motuzyanyk. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Now the information about ATO area during last 24 hours. The main event of the last 24 hours was military clash between ATO forces and the occupants in Lugansk area. It happened in Stanично-Lugansk region, controlled by Ukraine left bank of the Seversky-Donetsk River, near Artyom village. It should be noted that military actions are carried out rarely here, and the subversive group crossed the river and attacked our servicemen. The battle lasted for 15 minutes. Moreover, the militants continue to systematically and massively shell Ukrainian positions in the Popasnyansky region. Yesterday, the militants delivered two shellings between midnight and 2 a.m. and between 11:30 and 5:30 p.m. And the militants used small arms and APCs. And for the first time in several weeks, the enemy used here the mortars of 82 mm caliber. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Lugansk area, there were 9 enemy shellings. 1 was the use of heavy weapons, and there was also 1 military clash. Also, active military actions happened in Donetsk area. The militants started to use heavy weapons again. In Lugansk and in the production area of Avdiivka, there were powerful mortar shelling delivered by the enemy. In Zaitsevo, the shellings lasted for about 2.5 hours, and full ceasefire is observed only in the region of the Donetsk airport. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Donetsk area, there were 16 enemy shellings, 2 with the use of heavy weapons. The Mariupol area, at several positions, the militants used heavy weapons. These are Krasnogorovka. There they used mortar, Chermalik 122 mm cannons, and also Shirokina. The enemy used mortars. The most heavy was the second shelling in Chermalik region. There, the enemy launched 45 artillery shells at our positions, and the fire lasted for less than 1 hour. Also, there were some minor enemy provocations in Mariinka and other areas. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Mariupol area, there were 9 enemy shellings, 3 with the use of heavy weapons. Yesterday, the enemy organized 3 flights of air drones, one of them in the Donetsk area and 2 in Mariupol area. During the last 24 hours, as a result of the military actions, unfortunately, 3 Ukrainian servicemen were killed and 15 were wounded, and 1 serviceman went missing. We express our condolences to the relatives of the servicemen who died. Confirmed losses of the enemy during the last 24 hours: 2 killed, 4 wounded. Yesterday, reinforcement came to the militants from Russia through Izvarina in direction of Lugansk. The column of military equipment went, so APCs, trucks with cannon towed. And also there is reverse movement. Russian border guards detained Sergei Timoshenko, the militant from so-called 7th Brigade of the militants, who tried to go from the occupied territories to Russia. And the ground for detention were 3 carts of cartridges to machine gun that this man wanted to take on his trip. The operative check of storage facilities of this unit that is in the penitentiary facility number 22 in Komisarevka village near Debaltseve revealed lack of 7 carts of cartridges and 200 carts with mortar mines. And also the information appeared about the detained on the 9th of September Russian militant Denis Sidorov. He told about his service in 71st Motorized Regiment of Russian Armed Forces, in the ranks of which he took part in the Chechen wars and also was involved in ethnic cleansing. And With this hard background, he came to Donbass, and now his career is over, and now direct speech of the militant. I am a citizen of Russia, Denis Sidorov. I'm from Moscow, and I live in Moscow. I took part in military actions in the Caucasus during counter-terrorist operation in the North Caucasus. After this, I was in subversive group and served in the law enforcement bodies. Then I was dismissed, and in 2015, in January, I came to Donbass, to DPR, the 71st Mechanized Brigade, and I was a reconnaissance officer. And recently, I served in 3rd Brigade, Mechanized Brigade, as a reconnaissance officer. On the 8th of September, in the region of Novgorodska village, I crossed the border, and I crossed the line of confrontation and was detained by the servicemen. And they treated me well. So they were not hostile toward me. Dear Russian President, I am sorry that I came to DPR and took part in this military conflict. And I would like to address my citizens of Russia that they should not go to Donbass. Let people to decide their own problems by themselves. Also, officers of SBU detained the propaganda specialist in Kiev. She disseminated the messages on destroying the territorial unity and integrity, and also called on financing terrorism. Now the investigation is on the way. Ukrainian field military engineers are trained in ATO area. Firstly, they have theoretical classes on explosive devices, their classification, and then they come up to practical training where field engineers create, demine, and use how to use safely these devices. Also, servicemen from tactical aviation units had some training in survival and technical medicine. They overcame a barrier line with booby traps and smoke blocks, and also how to provide medical assistance to their comrades. Also, attention is paid to moral and psychological state, because each serviceman should remember two main priorities at the front line: to carry out duty and also to save life. And lastly, special services of police in Lugansk area also undergo training. There are 2 weeks of training, of physical training, self-defense, provision of medical help, detention of armed criminals with the use of automobiles, also assaulting the building and freeing hostages, and also identification and deactivation of subversive groups of the enemy. Do you have questions? Please ask. Thank you. Colonel, now questions. Please introduce yourself first.
Ksenia Dvornikova, 5th TV channel. Would you please specify 2 people were killed or 3 Ukrainian servicemen were killed? Could you develop more about the circumstances? Two servicemen were killed in result of the combat near Stanitsa Luganska. One was killed in result of the artillery shelling with the use 122 millimeter guns near Chermalik. Since there are no further questions, thank you for your participation. Dear friends, with this, we finish our working day. The plan for tomorrow, the schedule for tomorrow will appear on our website after 4 p.m. today. Thank you.